Well, it turns out my mother-in-law is not very happy that I'm marrying her son, and it's all because she's racist. Today's story is a wild ride, and I'm going to show you guys exactly the torment I have to put up with from my mother-in-law. I'm 33 and female, and I've been married to my husband Jacob for almost 12 years now. We got together when we met at a party where I was invited by a client and I worked for as a reward for getting them a large tax rebate. I am a tax consultant for a large firm of accountants. I started off as a junior for the firm, and I've managed to work my way up the ladder to be a senior partner in my firm, which, by the way, is a respected role. My dad, Henry, is a banker, and he's made a really good life for us. He moved here from Jamaica years before I was born to get into university, and he worked his way up to be a senior executive for a very large bank. He always taught me that if you want something in this life, you have to work for it. Now, we come to my husband and his family. My husband's from a family that has links to, literally royalty. I know, it's hard to believe, but guys, it's true. He's not high up in the royal family or anything like that, but his family has a hereditary title that is passed down to the eldest child. At the moment, the title rests on his dad, and he is, on paper anyways, a baron. One of the perks of this is that their family owns a large property that was converted into a hotel years ago to help with funding, as it dates back to normal times and old properties need a lot of upkeep. My husband works for his dad, as does all of his family, as that is the quote family way. My firm was taken on to do, accounts, and my husband and I started dating and eventually we got married. We have 2 children, Maisie, who's female 10, and Izzy, female 8. As you've probably worked out from, my dad, I'm a woman of color, and so my children are mixed races. My husband is white British. My in-laws have never liked me. They played it off that they were not, quote, racist and insisted it's because I was not from the same social class as they were, and they had to keep up a certain standard in their marriages. I've always ignored them and just got on with my life. But as time's gone on, they've gotten worse and much more obvious with their racism. Not only towards me, but towards my daughter. While I can handle it when it's about me, I will not have my girls raised in that kind of environment. Now here's my dilemma. What do I do about it? I love my husband, and we've always had a good relationship despite my in-laws, but recently I feel as though he's moving more into this thinking and aligning himself more with them and, against me. We live in the hotel, as it's large enough to have private rooms put aside for family, and, early in our marriage, I asked my husband if we could move into our own home and have a bit of privacy, as there's no privacy from his family as they also have rooms here. At first, my husband seemed very willing to think about it, but when he was raised with his parents, they made such a fuss that my husband said that we had to stay where we were. Apparently, this is the family home and is a sign that they're important, so they will not move. His dad likes to say that a, quote, English man's home is in his castle, and as they're related to royalty, they should live in a house that's appropriate for their standing. I didn't even say anything, but I did roll my eyes in private and think, if it was that important, why had they turned their precious family home into a hotel? They also host weddings here, and they make a massive deal about how their lucky couple is getting married in a house that belongs to royalty. It's sickening, to be honest with you. My mother-in-law, Marion, she's 60, and father-in-law, Edward, 61, like to dress as they're going to a gala every single day. And my father-in-law is never seen without his full suit and matching pocket watch on a chain. If it were not my life, it would be hilarious. My husband's expected to dress to match his social class, and so he also dresses like a country squire. I'm not sure his family knows what century we're actually living in, both in the way they dress and the way they treat people who work for them, especially if they're not white and British. The hotel employs a lot of staff, and they're terribly treated. Well, their wages are only at minimum wage, and the women are expected to wear these old-fashioned servant outfits, complete with cloth hats. I've mentioned that it's very degrading for them, but no one cares, and I'm not, quote, allowed to work at the front desk. Joke's on them, not that I even want to. And my father-in-law requested that I used the back entrance into and out of the building, as I am not staff or, quote, real family, as I'm married in. The same applies to my daughters. We creep in and out of the back doors like servants, and to my shame, I have put up with it to keep the peace. Things came to a head recently when a large family event was planned when my husband's sister Arabelle got engaged, and they decided to throw this massive, huge party and invite many people from the, quote, upper class. So, no expenses was to be spared on this party, and they were closing the hotel for the weekend to accommodate the guest. Staff were told that they would be expected to work extra hours and would be given a room to rest in, so they were always on the property. As you can imagine, that went down really well. I was actually looking forward to it until I was told by Arabelle that I would not be in attendance, and neither would my daughters. So obviously I asked why, and she said that she had a certain image to portray and that she did not want me there. It was, she said, her party, and she could invite whoever she pleased. I mean, I complained to my husband expecting a bit of support, but there was nothing there. He even suggested I go to my parents for the weekend. Now, here is my dilemma. I have the ability to ruin the whole weekend, and I'm so tempted to do it. As I mentioned, I am the accountant for the family, and they would have preferred someone else, but they bid down their distaste that I am, quote, not the right color, because I was doing their books for free as part of the family, so I know how their finances are looking, and they are terrible. For all their gushing about being part of some royal family, they're broke. The hotel barely makes any money, and what money they make, they spend trying to make themselves look such upper class and important. My father-in-law's suits are handmade and cost more than my whole clothing budget for a year. I've told them that they're living beyond their means, but they would never listen, and now there is a real risk that if they spend without limit on this party, they will not be able to fund the hotel for the rest of the year or even pay the vendors. As I've seen in the quotes, the money is just not there. I talked to my husband about this tonight, and I was told that it was not my place to comment on the amount of money that they were spending, and I was obviously trying to cause trouble as they had plenty of money. After all, they were a titled family. I have a few options right now. I could let them go ahead with it and keep my mouth shut and watch the fallout, or I could embarrass them by making it public just how broke they are. I've seen the figures for this event, and they will not be able to pay half the vendors without loaning or cutting money from other places. If they cut the budget, it will not be from the things that look like they're still rich. It'll be from the staff and from the smaller vendors, and that doesn't sit right with me. I'm tired of this racist comments and making me and my daughters feel like we're not good enough. So guys, I come to you with a couple questions. First of all, what do I do? Keep my mouth shut and leave them to it, or be true to myself and expose them at the cost of my marriage? Top comments from the original post. Comment number 1 says this: expose them. They're not living in the real world, and people like them will always look down on the little people and the people who work for them. They're a joke, trying to act like they're better than everyone else when they're broke. Maybe it's about time that somebody took them down a peg or two. If I were you, I would expose them. Take your daughters and get the heck out of there. Your husband is an absolute disgrace for not sticking up for you. I mean, you're his wife, and he should be protecting you against their vile opinions no matter what. Do you want your daughters to grow up in that situation and always feel like they're not good enough? Get out of there, girl! Comment number 2. This is fake. I read a lot of these, and there's no way that you're married to someone in the royal family. I mean, come on. If they're part of the royal family, why do you not have any money? You're just trying to make yourself look important and make other people look bad by playing the race card. I've never read such a fake story in my life. If it were this bad, you would have left by now. Why would your quote husband have married you in the first place? If his family was this darn racist? They would not even have allowed it. To get a life, stop making things up on the internet. I bet you're not even married. You're probably like 12. Grow up, get a life. What's up, guys? Mr. Reddito here. I hope you're enjoying today's story. Let me know which one of those comments you agree the most with. There's multiple updates and, well, this story's about to get a little wild. Let's go ahead and jump into update number 1. To show a bit of support for the channel, go ahead, subscribe to it, and, well, here's your update. I knew that somebody would tell me I was making it all up. So that was not unexpected. Believe me, I wish that I was making it up, but this is my reality and what I'm living in every day. I'm not making this up, but feel free to think that if it makes you happy with your own life. So, I have a really good idea about the whole thing, and I've decided that for my sake and for the sake of my daughters, I have to do something. The date for the party is getting closer, and I'm sick of hearing about how amazing it'll be, how many high-class people will be attending, and how I have to tell my daughters that they can't go. I've been sitting on the fence about whether to be the big person or not, and maybe take my girls away for a lovely weekend so that they did not have to see the party going on without them. But I'm not sure that running away and pretending that the family's not treating us like lower-class citizens is the right thing to do. In the comments, somebody mentioned that they are living in a fantasy world. Well, and I think you're right. You see, my in-laws and my husband have never looked at the financial situation at hand. They've never needed to, as somebody has always done it for them. Before me, they had a paid accountant, but they got rid of him when my husband and I got married, as I would be doing the same job for free. I did point that out. In reality, they should still be paying me for my services, but they just laughed and said that I was family and family does not charge each other. Of course, I was family when it suited them, but I'm not family when it comes to mixing and mingling with their friends. My brain's been round and round in circles trying to decide what to do. However, 2 nights ago, I overheard something, and I think that my decision has been made and any doubts I had have been pushed away. I was going to just let their friends know that they were broke and that I've been picking up the slack for the shortfalls in their money, as although they treat me like, well, dirt, it was never in my best interest to not help out. My girls needed somewhere to live, they needed food and school uniforms, and we needed money to live off of. I loved my husband, and so it seemed like the right thing to do, and I expected that one day he would come to his senses and see that it was not fair how we were treated, but it just kept getting worse. So, when I heard my mother-in-law talking to Arabelle about inviting eligible ladies to the party to tempt my husband away from me, I decided enough was enough right then and there. They seem to think that if he meets a woman from a good family, he's going to divorce me, and then they'll not need to be ashamed of the, quote, stain on their family line, meaning my mixed-race children. I'm done with a lot of them, and they will pay for the misery that they're causing me and my precious girls. Update number 2. I did what needed to be done, and guys, I literally have no regrets. Although I have feelings that the family will try to make me pay for this, I kept my head down in the run-up to the party. I was all sweetness and light, and when my husband suggested that I do it, well, to my parents, as the party might be, quote, too much for the girls, I made it seem that was the best idea that I've ever heard. He would have suspected something if I did not suggest we take the girls to my parents, and I returned to the party, so I did that. It was fun watching him try to find a good excuse as to why that was not a good idea. I don't think that he has any idea that they're going to try to set him up with another woman, because if I'm totally being honest with you guys, my husband is nice to look at, but he is as dumb as a pile of rocks, which is why he does whatever his parents tell him to do. I had 2 ideas as to what I was actually going to do, and I was not sure which one I was going to do, but I'm learning that I should be leaning towards one and going all in and ruining their night completely. So, this is the plan. Thankfully, my in-laws would never lower themselves to going on something as common as an online group, so I'm safe here to speak to you guys. Also, as half of you think I'm making this up, I can tell you what I think. And it most likely won't be believed anyway, so this is the plan. My in-laws' eyes, I'm not good enough for them or their son. If they had their way, I would be working in the kitchen where, quote, my kind belongs, and so I'm going to give them their wish. I'll leave with my girls and take them to my parents, but then I will be going back to the house with some of my friends from before I was married, and my brothers will be changing in the staff room, and I'll be a maid for the evening, carrying trays of drinks, serving food, and being a good servant. Their friends know who I am. They were at the wedding, so they will see me and ask what the heck's happening, and that's when I will play the cards. I'll tell them that unfortunately my family's broke, and because they could not pay for staff, we have to serve our betters so that they can have the party. I'll lay in bed knowing that this is my life, and they always make me work like this as well as my real job. I'll ask them not to tell anyone, as I would be punished. You know, the meek, hard-working wife, it'll be glorious. Or is it a bit too much? Update number 3. I've taken a few days to process what happened at the party before I wrote this, but it went as expected for the most, but there were some bits that I could never expect at all. I was in the staff's room in good times to get changed, and I sent a lot of the real staff home and guaranteed that they would still get their wages for the evening. After all, I'm the one who deals with the finances, so we got changed into our servers' outfits and we waited for the party to start. The few remaining staff were people whom I also considered friends and who thought that we were doing something hilarious and also what the family deserved. The staff that my husband would recognize did all the welcoming, so nobody would be suspicious until the main event. Once the majority of the guests arrived, my plan kicked into action. And my family members went out with, well, trays of champagne, and you could see the confusion on the faces of friends of my in-laws. And every time I handed over a glass, I said quite loudly, "Unfortunately, the family is broke, which is why we need this wedding to take place for the money. We can't even afford staff, and the family told me that I needed to do it as this was my place in the family." This was repeated over and over and over, and you could feel the mood in the room start to shift. Finally, my mother-in-law saw me and she flew over, demanding to know what the heck I was doing. I played it innocent and said that as they were in such debt, there's no money to pay for the party and I was not going to cover their debts any longer. This was my last gift to them. I was serving them as they had always wanted me to, and my husband stormed over furious, but I was done with them all. I told my husband that we were trying to set him up with a richer woman, and she was welcome to him. Once the chaos set in finally, I put down my tray, motioned to my family and the staff, and we left. It was glorious until the next day, when I had to face the music. My in-laws called the police and said that they suspected that the, quote, fake staff, by which they meant myself and my family, had stolen from them. And they suspected that their money issues were all due to me, quote, siphoning from the money over the years. I was shocked when I opened the door at my parents' house and 2 police officers were standing there, looking very serious. Once they explained why they were there, my parents were furious. And I told them it's fine, as I had absolutely nothing to hide, and I could show the police the accounts from the family if they wanted to see them, and they did. They did. I agreed to go into the station and give a statement and provide all the evidence that afternoon. The next shock was when I got a call from a number that I did not recognize. I was reluctant to answer it, but I did because I did not think that my dad could get much worse. Well, to my surprise, the man who was supposed to be marrying Arabelle asked if I would meet him to talk. I was not sure if it was a good idea, as it might be a setup, but I decided that I would go. My brother Jackson is going to come with me and sit at a different table, just in case I need him. And so, dear readers, the story thickens. Update number 4. Hey guys, this will be quite a long update. I mean, there's just so many others, as a lot has happened in the couple of weeks before my last post. I was going to come home after I met with Arabelle's fiancé, now ex-fiancé, but I needed to sort out some things and it made more sense to wait, and I'm still getting messages from people telling me this is all fake, but I'm beyond caring. You can believe what you want or not. So, I dropped off a massive amount of paperwork with the police with all the accounts, the letters from people the family owed money to for work on the house, and anything that I could find that showed their financial situation was dire. At my dad's suggestion, I also provided them with copies of my bank statement and pay slips to show that the only money I had was from work. And it also showed the large amounts that I was paying out to the people who owned money and the staff from the accounts when there was no money on the family account at all. You would also see in the family account that they're still spending money as though they were millionaires. Thanks to credit cards and store credits because of their family name, I was through covering for them and helping them though. Following my meeting with the police, I went to meet Ben, who was supposed to be marrying Arabelle. He was already at the restaurant, smiling when he saw my brother escorting me, and asked if I did not trust him. I said I did not trust anyone from the family anymore, especially after they reported me to the police for stealing their funds. Ben said that he wanted to talk to me about that and whether everything I had said was true, as Arabelle had fed him the same story that I was the bad person. I had my laptop, so I showed it to him. I said I was sick of covering for them when they're racist and treated me and my daughters as lower-class citizens because they thought that we were special due to their ancestral gaining titles, which meant nothing today. Ben chuckled and said he also had a title, but he did not flaunt it as it was an old family name. And as I said, they did not mean much in the modern world unless you were at the top royals. Once I showed him all the evidence, he nodded and asked if he could meet me again sometime later to talk about things. I said that would be fine, and he left. My brother rolled his eyes from across the room as he said that we were flirting. Wasn't true. Ben's handsome, but I'm married, at least for now. I plan on issuing divorce papers soon, and I was worried that in the divorce I would end up having to give my husband money as I am better off than he is, but that's a bridge I will not cross when I get to it. My focus now is to make sure that my girls and I are safe and have somewhere to live, so we can stay with my parents for a while, but it's not a long-term idea. I'll start looking somewhere now that I'm 100% sure that my marriage is over. I think I've known for years that it was in trouble, but there was a part of me that just did not want to accept it. I think also I wanted to prove something to my in-laws, that my husband loved me for who I was and that he did not have the same prejudices as they did. My family has been telling me for years that I was delusional, but I wanted a family unit for my children. Now I see my husband is bad, and it's better to raise my girls as a single parent than have them subjected to racism and hate. I don't know what my future holds, but I'm sure that it's better than if I were still with my husband. There's no way that they can pin the loss of money on me because the police have all the proof that they need of them being greedy and spending money that they simply do not have. Maybe I've acted like a child in many ways over the last few weeks, getting my revenge and being petty, but I don't care because, well, it felt really good. Update number 5. I don't think I would ever add to this as I was happy with my decisions and what I did, but randomly, I get a message asking if things have worked out for me, so I thought I would come and finish off the story. It's not fully over as I'm still going through my divorce and my ex-husband's fighting tooth and nail to get us as much as he can out of me. I don't think it'll go as he thinks it will, as he has said multiple times to his solicitor and in correspondence with me that he does not want any contact with his daughters. He believes wrongly that they cannot possibly be his as they're not, quote, pale enough. When my solicitor told me that, he was actually speechless as I'm a very dark complexion and my girls are a lot lighter skinned than I am. I said to my solicitor that it would be his parents behind this as they don't want their bloodline, quote, sullied. It's going to be hard for my girls to know that their dad does not want them, but to be honest, I think it's better to find out now what kind of man he is, and not get their hopes up that he will ever be a good father. As I will be the sole parent of my girls, I'm in a good position to protect my finances and will happily let, him stand down from his responsibilities. Arabelle's engagement went up in smokes, and Ben dumped her faster than you could say gold digger. He did his own investigating and found that I was telling the truth about their money situation and that she was only with him to try to save the family house and lifestyle. Of course, I'm being blamed for this, and it does not help that Ben and I have been spending a lot of time together. He's intelligent, handsome, and a great person to talk to. I really hope that we will make this work, and I have no idea for his family money. I have no need for it. I have my own. The girls and I have a lovely new home, and I changed the girls to a better school. We're all happy. My husband and his family are not. They have to sell the house to pay back the debts, and it's been somewhat of a scandal among the well-to-do. My solicitor is also chasing repayment of all the money I invested in the hotel. I feel sorry for the staff as they lost most of their jobs, but I'm helping them find work and giving glowing references. I wish I could give you a full closure, but it's not yet finished. I'm happier than I've been in years, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm just starting my new life, and I wish nothing but the worst for my racist ex-husband and his entire family. They're now scorned by all the people they tried so hard to impress, and it's brilliant to see their names dragged through the mud. My advice would be to know your worth and never settle for anyone who does not love every single part of you. Top comments from the final update. Comment number 1. I've commented on this before, and I still don't believe a word of it. You're obviously a sad attention-seeking woman who's trying to blame your husband and his family for your own failings. It makes me so mad to see people trying to blame everything on race and or sex. I mean, sometimes it's just because you're a person and you deserve what you get. I hope that your husband takes you for everything in court, if this is even true, which I doubt it. I mean, you need help, lady. And then a reply from OP. Are you my husband? Because you sound just like him. Your opinion does not matter to me. Go bother someone else, you troll. Comment number 2. Get them, girl. Jared, the first commenter, sounds like an utter delight, doesn't he? What a catch. He's obviously of the opinion that everything is always the woman's fault, and I've lived around people who have been really passively aggressive towards me because I'm a mixed race person, and always start conversations with, I'm not racist, but... If you have to start a conversation like that, then 100% you are racist. I mean, I followed your story but never commented, and I'm so happy that you and your girls are free of that negative environment. And you made them pay along the way. Raise your girls to know their worth and always know your own. There's one thing for certain in this story. The comment section was up to here with Jacob and his mother. Not only were they racist, they were toxic humans and just all around bad people. But how hilarious was it? Arabelle's soon-to-be husband found out just how evil the family truly was, and he found love with OP. I do like the ending of this story, as it seems karma came around and OP left the toxic family for a better life with her daughters. Guys, let me know your thoughts about this story. Maybe you've been in a similar situation as OP from this story. Not exactly maybe from a royal family, but something similar, having to deal with a racist mother-in-law or something along those lines. Guys, let me know your stories. Drop your comments down below. My name's Mr. Reddito. I narrate stories every day, and we deal with some pretty nasty mother-in-laws. I hope to see you guys tomorrow, and just remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya.